Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to all my viewers today. Today I'm going to speak regarding AGPM, its installation and configuration. AGPM is Advanced Group Policy Management. It basically provides comprehensive change control, offline editing, and role-based delegation for group policy objects. AGPM is available as part of MDOP, that is Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack for Software Assurance. MDOP consists of three patterns. Our first pattern is virtualization, second pattern is management, and third pattern is restore. In this video, we are concerned regarding AGPM, which comes under the manage section. Now, before going forward, I would like to tell you some important points regarding AGPM. AGPM, it increases the capabilities and capacities of GPMC. It also provides the standard roles for delegating permissions to manage group policy objects in an environment. It also helps us to archive or to enable the group policy administrators to create and modify GPOs offline before the GPOs are deployed into the production environment. It also gives us the ability to roll back any earlier version of a GPO in the archive and to limit the number of versions stored in the archive. And now let us come to the environment of AGPM. So this is my environment. In my demo environment, I have three servers. My first server is a domain controller, that is Win2K12DC01, and my second server is AGPM server, where we would be working on, and third is AGPM client. So this is my environment. My first server is Windows 2012 domain controller. As you can see in the server manager, the IP is 192.168.1.254, and the domain, I have already joined both, all the three machines are joined into the domain victorinfosol.com, and IPs have been statically configured. This is my domain controller. The next server is my Windows 2012 AGPM, where we would be main focusing on. So as you can see, I have already configured the IP 192.168.1.253 on the server, and this machine is already joined onto the domain. My third machine comprises of Windows 2012 GPCL, that is Group Policy Client, where we would be making changes in the GPO and which would be deployed in our environment. So friends, this is my AGPM server, where I need to install the AGPM pack. As I have already described in this video earlier, that AGPM is a pattern that comes in under MDOP, that is Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack. So I have already mounted that MDOP pack in my D drive, and I will be proceeding towards the installation of AGPM. So I'll just open the media and see. Here you can see AGPM appv dart, so all the aspects of the MDOP tool can be seen here, but currently we are only concerned regarding AGPM, so I'll proceed towards the installation of AGPM now. So we'll install the latest SP3 pack of AGPM version 4.0, and since we are making this as a AGPM server, so I'll proceed towards the installation of this application AGPM 403 server AMD64, and it is preparing to install. Simultaneously, on the other server, as soon as the installation is complete, we would be installing the client application, this client application on the Windows 2K12 GP client machine. Now this is the installation wizard for Microsoft AGPM, and we'll proceed as per the procedure. We accept the license terms. Next, this is the path where you can choose whichever path you like to save your all logs and files regarding the AGPM. And this is the user account that we need to create. Either you can create an account in Active Directory, which must have full access to control all the group policy objects and the services that we are managing. So in my environment, I would be taking. So in my environment, I have already created an admin account, that is AGPM admin, and I'll put the password here. I'll show you in my domain controller where I have created this account. I'll go to the DC. I have opened Active Directory users and services. In under the Noida OU, you can see AGPM, and AGPM, since you can see it is a member of domain admin, so it has all the privileges of a domain administrator as well. So we'll be proceeding towards the rest of the installation of AGPM. I'll click on next, and this is the user account that will have full permission after the we access the AGPM console on this server. So by default I'll put the same account, that is AGPM admin. Next we'll not touch the port here, we'll let it go by default. We can choose the languages that we need to install. So currently I'll be installing only English language here. So I've unchecked all other boxes and English is already checked, and we'll click on next. Now I'll click on install to begin the installation. It will take few moments. Now you can all see, during this setup it is searching for the group policy management console, and if it is not installed on the server it will install it. So currently the console is being installed, and it is now searching for the Windows Process Activation Service, because all the related services related to the GPM console needs to be in started mode and needs to be searched as well first of all. So you can see all the prerequisites, the respective services, ASP.NET, the GPMC console, everything is being installed fresh on the server. So as you can all see that the advanced group policy management has been successfully installed on this server. Now we'll go ahead and check the respective settings of this console. Now to check the group policy management control, you need to go to server manager, tools, and you'll see here group policy management. So in this group policy management you'll see the forest, that is victorinfosol.com, and you'll see the respective sites and respective OUs that are a part of this domain, but you will not see change control over here, because change control would be seen during the installation of GPM client services in my Windows 2K12 GPCL server. So now we'll be proceeding towards the installation of the GP client. This is my client machine for AGPM, and since I've already explained you before that my AGPM server will consist of group policy management, but it will not, the change management would not be included in the console. To make changes to the GPU or to create new GPU, we need to install this setup, that is AGPM 403 client, and here we'll find the change control where we can do the required testing and create GPUs as per our environment. So we'll proceed towards the installation of this package now. Now Windows scheduler is open, it is preparing to install. Basically AGPM server we are forming, it will help in replication basically with the domain controller, and GPL server would be held responsible for managing all the GPUs in an environment, while AGPM server would be taking care of all the replications, all the processes that are being carried out in my GPCL server. Now we'll click on next, we'll accept the license and terms, we'll click on next. And now, since I have already explained you that we need an AGPM server to communicate with my domain controller, and here we are installing the change controller while installing the setup of client. So we need to feed the IP details of my AGPM server during the installation. So my AGPM server's IP is 192.168.1.253. We'll leave it checked. We'll click on next, and I'll only be installing English language for now. Click on next, and we'll click on install to begin the installation. By the time installation is going on, this wizard would just review all the prerequisites that are necessary to for getting it installed immediate, and if it is not installed, it will definitely install the necessary components. So as you can see, it is searching for the management console, and it will be installing the same here. As you can all see, the installation of the wizard is complete, and now we'll click on finish, and we'll launch the wizard over here, and you'll see the difference between both the wizards, the one which exists on AGPM and the one which exists on my GPCL server. We'll go to tools, and you'll see the group policy management. We'll click on forest, we'll click on domains. Now see, as you can all feel the difference between the two group policy management consoles. In my GPCL server, where I have installed the setup for the client, the change control is present, and through change control only we can create, we can edit, we can deploy any new GPOs or any existing GPOs in our environment. And we received an error, could not retrieve the list of the control GPOs because the account has not been given the admin privileges. In order to give the account admin privileges, we need to log in via the AGPM admin account. Then you will be able to see the list of GPOs that are currently deployed over here. See, we already have an error which shows that access is denied because I am logged in through the user one account. Now let me just go back into the domain controller, and I'll brief you about the accounts that I have created and what are the functions of all the accounts. So we'll just have a quick review of the same. This is my AGPM admin account, which is held responsible for all the communications and for giving access or admin rights to any of the user accounts that are being created in our Active Directory environment. So as you can see, I'll right click and I'll show the properties. It has the admin privileges because it is a part of domain admins. The rest three user accounts are simply the domain user accounts. They have not been given any admin privileges, and the error we are getting in GPCL is because we are logged into the server through user 01. So in order to see the respective GPUs in the change control, we need to log into this server via the AGPM admin account. So I'll just go here, I'll sign out, and I'll log in via the AGPM server account. Now here you'll see the server manager. We'll go to tools, we'll go to group policy management, and we'll be able to see the deployed GPUs over here. I'll just expand the window. And it'll just take some time. Now see, I have logged into the group policy management console through the AGPM admin account, and as you can see, there's no error of access denied. Now we'll go to the various tabs of uncontrolled. These GPOs are depicted under the uncontrolled tab because these GPOs are not under the change control. So we can just click on this GPO in order to manage it in an environment, and we'll just click on control. We just need to wait for a minute and it'll be it is succeeded. Now we'll do the same for the second policy as well. Control, click on add, and it'll be added in a minute or so. It is already added. Now you can see that both the GPOs are in the control tab. That means that both these GPOs can very easily be edited or controlled through the change control. Now I'll tell you the accounts that I have created for this environment. AGPM account I've already told you for for giving the admin privileges for all the replication, for installing the consoles on both the servers. This account would only be used because it has been given the administrative privileges. See, this is the detailed, this is, I can say, the elaboration of all the accounts that we are using in an environment. This is my AGPM administrator, that is AGPM admin. It has all the privileges in the GPU environment. It has basically full control. It can create GPOs, it can read the policy, it can change the policy, it can delete the GPO, it can edit the GPO, it can configure the email notification, it can export, it can import. Basically it can perform all the steps that can be performed by a full-fledged administrator. Now next, I showed you there were three accounts in my domain controller, as you can all see, that is user 1, user 2 and user 3. I would be using all three account for the respective approver, editor and reviewer. So I can say user 1 would be considered as reviewer, user 2 would be considered as editor, and user 3 would be considered as approver. In this video only I'll show you how to assign permissions to the user accounts that you have created in your AD environment. But before going forward, I would like to tell you, or I would like to give you a brief introduction about the functionality of all the three AD accounts created over here, which would be acting as approver, editor and reviewer. So my first account, that is user 01, it would be given the role of reviewer. Reviewer, as the name suggests, it can only list the GPOs in a domain and it can only read the policy. It cannot edit, it cannot make any changes in my environment. It can just read the changes, it can just see the policy that are being reflected in an environment. Next user would be assigned the role of editor. The role of editor is a privileged account as compared to reviewer. Besides reading the policy, it can also make some changes in the policy, but it cannot approve the policy. It can create a GPO template, it can export a GPO, it can import a GPO. So editor has the only right, I must say, in the GPU environment to edit any policy. Approver, on the other hand, can approve a GPU, but it cannot make any changes in the GPUs that have been created. So editor here plays a very important role. Now going forward, I'll tell you how can we assign roles of approver, editor and reviewer to the user accounts that I have created in my AD environment. As I've already briefed you about the importance of the change control, because all the respective changes in my environment would be done through the change control only. So I'll go to change control, I'll go to the domain delegation, and here you can see the AGPM account through which I am currently logged on to this group policy management console is here, which has the full control or the full rights. So these three user accounts would be given the role of approver, editor and reviewer here only. I'll go to domain delegation, click on add. This is my domain victorinfosol.com. I'll just search my user 01, check names, and see in the drop down tab we'll see here all the roles mentioned: reviewer, editor, approver and full control. Now depending upon the reliability of the user accounts in my environment, I will be simultaneously assigning the roles. Now user 1, as suggested, I'll put the role as reviewer. I'll click on OK. Then in the user 2, click on add user 2, check names. User 2 would be given the role of an editor, and all these roles would be checked simultaneously by logging through all these three accounts that I'll be showing you all. Editor, and user 3 would be given the role of approver. I'm again repeating this very important aspect that editor is the only user account that can make any changes to GPO, that can edit GPO. Neither reviewer nor approver, they cannot edit or change any GPO settings. Approver will only be held responsible for approving the respective or the concerned GPOs in an environment. Now I'll be adding here user 03 account, and this would be given the role of approver. And as you can see, we have assigned the respective roles. Now I'll just show you the functionality of all the user accounts. So I'll just log off from this server and I'll log in via the user 01, that is the reviewer. I'll just access this server from the user 01 account. And we'll go to server manager. We'll open group policy management from the tools tab. We hardly need to wait for a minute to get the console open. This is our console. We'll go to domains, Victor InfoSol, and change control, because the changes can be done through the change control tab itself. Now see, both these GPUs are currently deployed in my environment and it is checked in. So I'll just try to check out the following GPUs through the user 01 account, and I should make you all remember that user 01 account has all given the privileges of a reviewer only. Reviewer cannot make any changes, it cannot approve it, it can only read the GPUs. So I'll go, and as you can see, I cannot perform any of the tasks because everything over here mentioned is grayed out because of the rights given to the user 1 account. We can only see the history, we can only import, we can only just check the settings, we can only review it basically. So now I am proceeding towards checking the functionality of the user 2 account. So I'll just log out from the server and I'll log in again through the user 02 account. Now here I have the we'll again follow the same procedure. We'll go to server manager, tools, group policy management. This time we are logged on to the server through the user 02 account, which is an editor which plays a very important role in our environment. I go to tools, group policy management. It will take some time to come up. This is my forest, domains. Now this is my change control. It will take hardly 1 minute to open. Now see here, I'll click on this GPU which is already checked into my environment, and I can very easily check out, because in order to make changes to any GPU in our environment, we need to check out that GPU, then we need to edit the settings, then only we can deploy that GPU back into our respective environment. I'll click on checkout. I'll put the comments as user02 because since I am using this account as editor, and it is succeeded because of the add rights given to user2. As you can see from the domain delegation, user2 has been given the right of editor, and editor can only change or edit the GPU settings, so it is successfully done. The same can be done for other policy as well, and this time I'll just check in. And it is successfully checked in because it can only edit the settings of the GPU. So to check the functionality of the user2 account, I'll just make some changes in the default domain policy. I'll go here, I'll just check out, I'll put the comments, close, right click. This red shine over here, it depicts that the GPU has been checked out from my environment and we can edit this GPU. So I'll right click here, and just for the experimental purpose I'll click on edit, and then I'll go to the computer configuration, policies, Windows settings. Inside Windows settings I'll go to the security settings now. In security settings I'll go to the account policies to just change the password policies. It is just for the experimental purpose to let you all know the functionality. And from here I'll just change the days from 42 to 30 days. Click on apply, I'll click on OK, I'll close the editor. So I have done the respective changes in the GPU. I'll right click here and I'll check in this GPU. We just need to, it is already succeeded. Now as to the process, I'll deploy the GPU in my environment. I'll right click, deploy, and very clearly here you can see that the request would be submitted to the approver, that is my user3 account, because I've already made some changes in the existing GPU and then I'm trying to deploy it. So before deploying the concerned GPU, it has to be approved by the approver or the concerned account responsible for approving the GPUs. So here I'll just write hi approver, kindly approve, and I'll just submit. Now in order to check the functionality of the user3 account, I'll just sign out from the server and then I'll log in again to the same server using the user03 account. So one action is failed because the email is not configured over here, although the request has been sent to the approver. So I'll just sign out and then I'll sign in again from the user3. Now I'll again sign in using user3, user3. I'll put the password in the tab. Again the same process to open the group policy management. We just need to wait for a while. We'll go to the change control. We'll go to domains, Victor Info Sol, change control. It'll just come in a minute or so. Now here you can see since we are logged into this server using the user03 account, which is responsible for approving the GPUs, we'll see that whatever required changes we have done in the default policy of the GPU would be shown under the pending state, because after editing the GPU it needs to be approved before deploying it in the environment. So user 03 plays the role of an approver, and this can be checked from the pending tab itself. This is the GPO that we have edited, and I'll right click on it. I'll click on approve. I'll put the user account, and it will be successfully approved. So there's a huge difference between all the three AD accounts that have been created in this GPO: reviewer, editor, and approver. As you can all see, this GPO has been successfully restored and approved as well. So if I try to deploy this GPO using user 3 account, it will not be deployed because only the editor has right to deploy the GPO. You can just check it from here. We'll right click over here and we'll click on deploy. So after approving this GPO, I'll click on deploy, and I'll click on yes, and it will be successfully restored. So this is the functionality of all the three AD accounts. That was AGPM administrator, approver, editor, and reviewer. Thank you all for watching the video. You can subscribe my channel, or you can just contact me on my Hotmail or Gmail account for any queries or concerns. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.